And the reason why I say this play might not ever happen again, it's very unique in that one is when a company gets the skull and crossbones, it's usually always overnight, right? The stock will close, the stock exchange will close, and overnight the company will get the CE. It'll get the skull and crossbones. But for a stock to get it midday, like right here, I've never seen that before. So when I got that, I mean, a huge light bulb went on because I know what this does to tickers. And I was like, there's no way they're giving us the opportunity to get short.
All right, everyone, welcome back to This Week in Steady Trade. It's 26th of August while we're recording this, end of the month. So it's kind of like a month-end review sort of thing. How are you guys doing? Jack, Kyle, how the month's been? What's happening?
So I think I briefly mentioned this last episode. Very steady month, not very busy, not very hectic. A lot of plays that I was talking to Jack about this, I think last week. A lot of ideal plays that look really ideal, never really played out as ideal until yesterday. We'll go over what happened yesterday, but essentially yesterday doubled the month. Really made a huge shift. So it's one of those months where it was very steady, and all we needed was one really ideal play to show up, and we took advantage of that. And so that's usually how the summer months would go. Like last year my summer months were pretty slow, where almost I made no money, and it was like that one play a month was it. So reminds me of like a year back, but yeah, it's gonna be a good month, but just steady, still not that slow. I think NASDAQ runners don't even exist this whole week, so it's really been only OTCs as well. But still solid, steady going month.
Yeah, same for me. Like I was saying in previous episodes, how I was kind of just taking it easy. And honestly, that was the way to do it because the trade just fell right into my lap and doubled my month. And now I'm, it's my third best month when I thought it was just going to be an average month. And just my trading this month, I have not taken a huge loss like I usually do on my big months. And I'm really just taking what the market gives me. And that mindset where I was expecting a smaller month has really helped me this month to just trade the best that I can.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's my fourth best month at the moment. But I started super hot. And I'm glad I knew how to trade OTCs because I feel like the listed market super slowed down. And while the OTC kind of had like a lull in the middle of the month, OTC market was hot at the beginning of the month and was hot definitely the last week or so too. So there's definitely been plenty of plays out there. But after that, first 2-week period, I kind of took some losses, chopped around a little bit. I'm having a decent week this week, but nothing crazy, slow and steady. And it's August, so trying to enjoy my life a little bit because I've been glued to the screen for 8 hours a day since the beginning of February.
Yeah.
Pull the charts.
There we go. Pull them up. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll start with Gaxi here. So Gaxi's been, I bet you it's 50 to 60% of my entire month. It's just been an awesome mover, ton of plays. It ran in the beginning of the month with awesome volume. You can see there was a 1.5 billion volume day. That's crazy. So the volume's been nice. You can take okay size, sometimes bigger size if the opportunity presents, just because there's so much volume. You don't really, slippage kind of matters. It's still an OTC stock at the end of the day. Fills aren't the best, but there's enough shares where you can take larger size than normal. So I played, I talked about the plays on it, I think at the beginning of the month, and now it just broke out. Beautiful OTC breakout. Yeah, I mean, if you have a small account, OTC breakouts, I will always say are probably the best strategy, in my opinion, just because you can get such crazy percent returns. And that was definitely the strategy I started with. Mm-hmm. But this one was awesome. Ran up, and I didn't hold it the whole time. It wasn't like I was holding this from 2 or 3 at that breakout level all the way up to 6. I was in and out of it a lot of time, especially today, because at this point it's up 2 times from where it started the run. So my approach was just after it consolidated a little bit, buy perk, buy a breakout, and then hold and sell into the spikes. And once I see some sellers coming on the level 2 or just slow down, take the profits, move on, rinse, repeat. So in the morning up until noon 1, I locked in about 4K on it, just riding the trend upwards today. And then we had this severe midday pullback. I had some shares. I was stuck in it a little bit, but I got out in the high fives after whatever my average was up there. So I took some of it back. But then after we had this slam all the way below VWAP, which was pretty impressive to me just because it was such a severe pullback, it basically pulled to where it started the run today. It scoops them up on this dip, and I mean, we bounced from the 4.5s all the way up to the 5.3s, which is an awesome bounce, especially midday. So the loss I took on the start of this dump, I made back, and then a couple $100. That was how I played it today. Tomorrow, not to spoil like what should be on your radar, but this one's definitely on my radar for a potential panic, especially with how that closed. So we can get a panic down, I don't know, 50. Now that's kind of optimistic, but 30 to 50% panicked. That'd be awesome. I'd love to scoop some shares on the level 2 turn. Did you guys trade this?
I didn't trade today, but I funded my E-Trade account a week or two back. And so when this broke out over this what was the key breakout level? 3.3 cents, was it? A little bit over 3. I actually did practice, trying to long these breakouts. I'm usually pretty bad at them, but the ones I've noticed after tracking them for so long, the ones I've noticed, or at least not tracking them individually, but tracking the ones I trade and what I trade best with, the ones with the biggest volume are always the ones that I have the best chance of winning. So I was willing to give this one a shot because I had such big volume. And so yesterday, I did long it on the breakout, and I think the red-green level was like 2 cents and like 270, 275. And so, that's like that right this level. So I was risking off red green, let it chop around a little bit, and actually starts holding the breakout more and more, starts holding 3 more and more. We start to uptrend, and I, as impatient as I am long, I was all out by the time I hit like 3.6 up in here, missed this parabolic move. I told myself I was going to rebuy into the close, but I got scared and just didn't do it. And then I missed all of today. So still locked in, I think, like $900 on that breakout long. So pretty decent for my smaller, just over PDT E-Trade account. But yeah, that's how I traded it.
Yeah, I ended up trading today and yesterday. Kind of similar trade there to Kyle. Yesterday, where I just kind of bought the breakout and didn't really have a key risk level that I liked on the chart. So I was in and out a little bit more, but still ended up making around 1,200 just from playing that first spike to the 4 cent level, just that 1 cent. So not bad there. And then today I also played the panic dip buy down there in the 4.5s. Got a good entry down at 4.55. And I knew it would kind of be a slower kind of bounce because it was a slower panic. But I still just ended up selling it in the 4H just because I was kind of mad. I only filled a third of what I wanted. So it's just small, like $700 or $800 gain on that today. So overall, $2,000 on it between the 2 days, not bad. I'll be looking to capitalize on that panic dip buy if it's clean enough tomorrow morning. I'm hoping for that. So we'll see.
And I want to ask you guys, because I'm sure some listeners are going to wonder, what key things have you guys looked for that makes you want to dip buy it more in the 4.5 versus, these little, because it did have 2 fake outs here and here before finally bottoming. How, if you do get caught in a fake out or if you try to stay patient to really get to the bottom, how do you guys go about, avoiding this choppiness to then really get in on the potential real bottom?
Yeah, so my approach, I did get caught in that fake out. I was thinking 5 cents was a whole level, so I was like, probably going to support there, or at least there's a good chance of it, plus VWAP was around there. So once it started bottoming in like the low 5s there, 5.1, 5.2, I bought some shares, a smaller size than the second buy, and a lot of that was because the second buy's panic was much longer, like further down. So I cut out. I ended up getting filled at 5 when I was cutting my loss. So I took a small loss there. But then once it cracked VWAP, they took out all those stop losses at 5 cents. And I'm sure there was plenty, especially for new traders, just because that's such a key level. And then it started bottoming. I wasn't too excited to jump in that because I already got stopped out once. So you can see it kind of double bottom there, a little bit of a higher low. That's actually where I entered my second dip buy right at 4.7. I think I ended up getting filled. And then I was looking to sell it into VWAP because I was like, oh, that's right where 5 cents was. Probably going to stutter a little bit there, but it shot right through it. Like there was, I went through it like butter, and then I ended up trying to fill at 5.1. But for whatever reason, it was upticking very strong and I wasn't filling, and I actually ended up getting filled at like 5.25. So kind of a lucky fill. I filled near the top, but not going to complain about a good fill.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was thinking the same thing where it's like, I'd rather attempt and cut it every time than just hold, because as we'll go over with LCDX later, you don't want to just hold if the dip buy doesn't work. So yeah, good lesson there. We're on to GPRF.
So this was a big one that I was watching this week. Great volume and 3-day extension, exactly what we look for if you watched any of these twist episodes before. So coming into that red candle day, I was pretty confident that it would go red because it kind of had a blow off day in volume there the previous day. And I was pretty confident we would see at least a 20% correction, if not more. So out of the open, as you can see, it goes green to red and panics. And that's where I ended up getting short, pretty big position between both my accounts. And since I was in so large, had to just cover into the weakness as it kept going down. And I actually got flat because I saw the turn on the level 2, but I didn't have enough time to react to dip buy it. I just ended up covering my shares, and then the idea was going to be to reshort the bounce versus the day high, risking the day high, meaning. So as the bounce got up towards that 480 level, that's where I hammered back in. And I made the mistake of using the same exact size that I had when I was shorting at the open, where now like the volume's a little bit lower. I should have not had as much size as I did. And unfortunately, the company released some press release, and there was a huge like 100,000 share ask. I think it was like 2.78 or something like that, and it just got swiped above the best ask, and that basically just started that squeeze from 270 to 320. And unfortunately, I was only covering partials all the way up, and then I still had a little bit left when it was above my risk level, and then I just took it off into the dip. And from there, this isn't my kind of backside price action where it's so choppy all the way down, bouncing, and just kind of hard to get a good read on it. So I ended up reshorting some here and there, but ended up losing about half of what I had locked on it into that morning dump. So just another reminder for me not to be taking as much size into the bounce, because the bounce is where I mistime my entry the most all the time for the reshort. So another good lesson there. Pretty unfortunate of that good of a daily chart to play out that poorly. Kyle, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I was caught in a very similar situation, because it's very, very unique. Not to say unique, but not common to see a company a PR. Right. It's almost. I mean, I can't prove this, but it's like almost like they literally wanted to time it exactly when they wanted to squeeze everyone, because it would have been, they could have easily PR'd it like down here, and it would have, I don't know, maybe not spiked as much, but same thing. I shorted out the open on red green. Covered, I think, at least half into this pull. So I did lock in some profit, but I did have half my position left, added a couple thousand more shares into this bounce. But then once we started squeezing back red green and then squeezing back the high day, I said, yeah, there's no way this thing can go 330, 340. I mean, you never know how high it's going to go. So I did cut it. But the selling was still pretty heavy up in the 320s. I did try to quickly reshort, but I missed. And so my thinking was, watching this stock to see how strong the PR actually meant. So the PR obviously squeezed out shorts, but like, can the PR sustain itself to actually get going a whole nother day? Can it really go red, squeeze, and then go to like over 354, like could it do that? And so when it pulled back, bounced, went back red, and then I think the red green level is like 301. So you see these bounce here's attempts to try to get over that level and continually fail. So once I saw that, I decided to re-enter short. Finally, we then break down the 280 level, and then the rest of history was just fading. I ended up covering most all of it in the 240s, 250s here, missing this last really great pull, but ultimately similar to Jack, where I pretty much only locked in about half of what I should have. Given that I did give a lot of profit back here and then had less size on the actual draw back or backside. So tough play, but with experience, you're able to manage it well. And it just comes with territory of experiencing something like this before. So.
All right, let's go to the play of the month for the fellow Twist hosts.
LCDX. Okay. So let's go to the daily here. So this company is called Lucid Inc. There is a electric vehicle company called Lucid Motors, I believe. And I'm pretty sure you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they're public. Unless they are, I don't know the ticker. But this was a very similar example to Zoom. Let's do this. So ZM is the Zoom company that we are recording this exact podcast on. Anyone who's been working from home during quarantine has been using Zoom, and their stock has skyrocketed this year because of how everyone's using it. Now, there's another ticker called ZOOM, and it's not even a ticker anymore, but a few months back, it was a ticker, and people bought Zoom thinking it was ZM. Okay, so this is very similar to an example where people were buying LCDX, Lucid Inc., as Lucid Motors. So it literally went from, 60, 70 cents all the way now up to $6. And, really on just complete nothing. Like they're not the same company. They're not related in any way, shape, or form. And so once that kind of came out, they also released a PR saying, this company released a PR saying, we are not tied to Lucid Inc. Or Lucid Motors. And also, if you look here, if any of you watch my first YouTube video ever, I go over, if you type in on ltcmarkets.com, LCDX, you got the skull and crossbones caveat emptor. And the one way to get alerted to that is if you follow OTC Markets on Twitter. They tweet out when a company will get this skull and crossbones. And so that got tweeted out. I saw that. And, once that happened right here. Right where you see this little volume, this huge volume comes in, that's exactly when the skull and crossbones got released. And if you know what this symbol or this title does to companies, it sends them down 90% within days. And so I knew that, Jack knew that, and so I'm not sure. I believe Jack got short at the same time I did because he saw the alert as well on the CE. But probably this volume was not mostly, but a lot of this volume was me. I immediately slammed in, knowing that what was likely to come, very high odds, and the rest was history, right? Immediately, we started selling off, and you just got to wait for we got to wait for people to realize what's going on, see the PR, and over the next, 2 or 3 hours, give everything up back. If I zoom out here, this run started at like $1. We went from the highs to the lows within 3 hours. And so I had 10,000 shares from 530 average, ended up covering it at 180, still pretty early. I could have been a little more patient, but because I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. When it got to CE, the caveat emptor, the skull and crossbones, brokers usually immediately stop people from trading this ticker. And so because I got short so early, right on the news, my broker didn't stop me yet. I was able to get filled and get in. But after people started realizing what's happening, all of a sudden I couldn't cover my position because they stopped trading on this ticker. So I actually had to chat in my order, which makes it very difficult to time things. I have to almost preset a price, which is why covering at 180 was what happened instead of maybe trying to time it better and cover lower, closer to $1. But, not going to complain. You make $3.50 a share on 10,000 shares. That's why that makes my month. It really doubled it. And just really an insane play. Probably the best play for me ever. The biggest trade for me ever, and probably the best play for me of the year. I don't think we'll ever see anything like this again, at least for a very long time. But yeah, just insane. Absolutely insane. You want anything, Jack, how you traded differently at all?
Not really. I think you covered mostly everything.
All right, awesome. But yeah, and the reason why I say this play might not ever happen again, it's very unique in that one is when a company gets the skull and crossbones, it's usually always overnight, right? The stock will close, the stock exchange will close, and overnight the company will get the CE. It'll get the skull and crossbones. But for a stock to get it midday, like right here, I've never seen that before. So when I got that, I mean, a huge light bulb went on because I know what this does to tickers. And I was like, there's no way they're giving us the opportunity to get short the moment it happens, right? Not the next day in the market open. Because if we look at what was that one ticker, Jack? Last year.
LCDX.
What was it? VSEX? Yeah. This ticker got the skull and crossbones last year, but it got it overnight like they usually do. So when you look at the chart here, probably over 2 years now. Right here. It gapped down literally over 50% because it got the CE overnight here, gapped down $1, and then proceeded to go even lower. So the fact that we were able to get the CE midday on LCDX was a huge, huge gift. And the fact that we were able to get in before our brokers stopped letting people trade it, it couldn't have been more just picture perfect, like stars aligned. And that's why I don't think we'll ever see something like this again. So great opportunity that we recognize to take advantage of to really, pull through on this slower month. But yeah, just incredible play.
I have one more thing to note about how you likely won't see something like this too, just because of look where it got the CE to. Like that is perfect sideways price action. That is a perfect support crack. And it gives us just technically the patterns there as well. Technically the patterns pretty perfect, and the daily chart was pretty perfect as well. So the amount of things that align for this play is just endless factors of luck and perfection, and that's why it just ended up being such a great play.
Yeah, I agree. I think I wouldn't have taken as much size as I did if the CE didn't come out, but even if there wasn't a CE or a PR, just like Jack said, just technically speaking, a great sideways action. This is, setting up to be a late day fade, so just the fact that it broke down at this level, I would have shorted some anyway, it would have been smaller size. And I probably would have covered, I don't know, in the maybe 4 or 3, but because it got the C, I knew to be more patient, which is why I held for sub 2. But yeah, well said. It's just a great technical play, regardless of all the other indicators that happen.
Awesome stuff, guys. Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, just the only play going forward is the Gaxi dip buy, panic dip buy, if it don't want to panic enough. But yeah, nothing else on watch for me. Seems like we're maybe slowing down for the last couple of days of August here.
Cool with me.
Yeah, and September I know we don't trade large caps, but like historically, isn't September or is it October? One of those months is always the worst month of the year for the stock market. So yeah, probably slow. It's also summer. And 2020 was fucking crazy. So, I mean, yeah, it's everything has to come to rest at some point. So I think that's just what we're seeing. And yeah, don't be, you see a ton of traders on Twitter who have had awesome years. Like, I wouldn't say be jealous of that because it already happened. And like, don't expect your next 3 months to be like anyone's you've seen, especially if the plays aren't there. So just take it slow, learn, watch plenty of episodes of Twist, and there you go. You're going to be on the right track.
Add one more thing there. It's like, just because we're having great months or we're trading well doesn't mean you won't or that you feel like you should. If you were to ask me how much money or opportunity I missed out on, it would blow your mind, right? Like, everyone's going to miss opportunities. Everyone's going to not be as great as they once were because, like, it just takes time to get great. So just stick around and you will, and keep studying, and you will get to where you want to go. You're going to miss, millions, hundreds of millions of opportunities, and just wait learning from them to eventually start taking advantage of them the longer you stick around. So.
Yeah, it's really about just staying in the game, because who cares what another trader's making? It's really just all about you making low risk gains, however much that is, whether you're able to put yourself in a very great risk reward position or you have a smaller risk reward position, you're just taking the high odds approach. Just need to be consistently profiting, and who cares what the amount is, as long as you get to show up every day and make money from your house. So really blessed to do this, and we'll see what the end of the year brings, and we'll see you guys next time.